Hello and thank you so much for joining me today for another day in Scraptember, and today's prompt is layering. So I'm using a photo of me and my family when we went to London this past half term at the end of May, and we started off at the British Museum. It was a bit of a rainy day, but it didn't stop us having fun. So I've decided that I wanted to use Cocoa Vanilla Studio Storyteller. I've scrapped a couple of photos from this trip using this paper collection, so I thought it would be nice to do this one with the same collection. I'm starting by layering mats behind my photo, which isn't something I normally do, but I thought this photo would benefit and stand out by having a white mat followed by a black mat. And then I'm going to use strips of pattern paper to create a layered mat behind the photo. I start off, as you'll see in a minute, doing vertical strips of paper. And it's only once I've cut them all out that I realise that I really want to have them horizontally across the page to match the photo. So just trimming down the black mat here, and then I'll start forming the photo mat using the pattern paper strips. So it's here, I'm having a look and I'm not quite happy with the way things are going, so I rotate the paper by 90 degrees. So the only strip that I don't end up using is that one that I've just taken off with the hearts. I can cope with most other things not being upright, but the hearts, it would have just bugged me if they weren't the right way up. Most of the other papers are non-directional anyway. The butterflies fly everywhere and the flowers are non-directional, so that's fine. The little rainbow style arches there towards the bottom are a little bit different, but the pattern doesn't bother me being on its side on that one. So when I look at that, I realise that I want to add something a bit extra, and just bringing that black in that I've got on the photo mat in a couple of strips makes such a difference, and I'm much happier with that. I think because we've got black coats on and things in the photo as well, that really makes everything pop. So just having a look through the other 6x8 papers, and I love these word strips on this card, so I'm just going to cut a couple of those out and they'll go on the bottom right hand corner of the photo. So we end up choosing 3 of those strips. The top ones is Memories Are Made of This, then we've got Right Now Is All That Matters, and This Makes Me So Happy. So I really like those. The next thing I want to do is to start embellishing around the photo. So I see the butterfly paper and immediately start to fussy cut a butterfly. Once I've done this one, I go to the ephemera pack and realise that I have still got some butterflies left in the ephemera pack, so I don't bother cutting anymore. But I think that paper may well be something that I do in front of the telly, just cutting out the butterflies so that I've got them for a future layout. So I'm just going through the ephemera and deciding any little bits that I think I might want to add to the layout and just positioning those, not necessarily where they finally go, but just putting them to the side so that I know that they're potentials for using on here. So just spend a happy moment going through them. And once I've chosen my collection of ephemera, I decide it's about time that I stick these strips down, just so that I can play about with it a bit more. So first of all, I want to distress all the edges, so I go in with my Tim Holtz edge distresser, and as I go along I distress a piece and then stick it down to the layout. So here's me just at the end doing the last piece. Makes a real mess as well, this. So just adding that, and then the black strip to the right. I'm really happy with those black strips. It's amazing how bringing a dark colour in can really tie everything together like that. So just getting rid of all that paper dust from doing the edge distressing. And I'll go in with this frame and have a look and see if it'll work, but not on this layout, not this time, but have a good play around. And then I decide I need to get that photo stuck down, so I go in with my Stix 225mm foam pads for this, just to raise it up off those strips. It also helps because the strips are quite bumpy where they've been edge distressed, so it just makes the photo much easier to adhere down to the layout. So checking that that's level, get rid of all the dust again, and now I can start really adding everything that I want and sticking it all down. And here I'm just adding a piece of foam underneath the edges of those strips because they fall off the edge of the photo. They're not supported by anything, so a little piece of foam will just stop those from falling over the edge and creasing when they're in the page protector in my album. In fact, it needs two pieces, so just layering those up there. And then turning my attention to these bits at the bottom. That's a fussy cut flower from one of the 6x8 papers that I've done in the past. That Love This banner is from the ephemera pack, as are the butterflies, apart from that red one that you saw me hand cutting. So just working out where I want these to go, and then I'll pop the wings up on foam tape. And now I'm going to add that little semicircle that says Our Story to the top of the strips, and again I'll mount that on foam tape to raise it up a bit and just so that it sticks well where the strips have been distressed. Now adding a couple of die cut buttons from the ephemera pack, making sure the green is layered onto that pink strip and not having the pink on pink, because I'm worried that it would just disappear into the layout if I did that. Raising the green one up on foam, again more layering, which is the word of the day. And now just taking a bit of time, titivating and trying to work out where I go next. Having a look at what else I've got around. Again, just trying bits and pieces, but I'm not happy with them. These banner bits though, I do add to the bottom there. I really like those. There's this one and then I find another, which I add next to it. And being me, I don't like to make it easy, so I stuck it down. Oh no, it wasn't this one, I think it was the other one I stick down and then realise I want to add the twine. So just adding some jute twine there. And that's up on foam. And just working out where I want those strings to go. I'll tuck in nicely behind the photo and I just use a dot of glue just to keep them in place. Next I spot this label tab, and that gets put just at the bottom left hand cluster. I don't use it for anything other than a bit more interest there. We don't use it for the date or anything, but I just like the way it looks and it makes those little flowers pop out a little bit more. There's the second tag. Oh, I do remember to put the string on before sticking it down. So often I'll stick tags down and then think, oh, I haven't added the string, and have to go back and faff. So this is just one last pass through those ephemera pieces to see if there's anything else I want to add. And I like this banner. I'm not happy with it down there, but it does make it to the left hand side of the page eventually. Just there, underneath that Our Story semicircle. And there's the other butterfly. I don't think it goes there in the end, but it's just tucked away safely out the way. And then it's time to turn my attention to the title, and the title is just going to be British Museum. I'm using these hardcover thickers probably for the last time now. They've lost their adhesive, they're getting really jumbled up and bashed about in the packets, and I've run out of E's. And so you'll see I have to fashion an E from an F and an L I think I cut up. So I'm just choosing all my letters here, and then I'll fiddle about to get them in position. And now I'm happy with the positioning. I want to add a tiny bit of journaling to the left hand side. Nothing too interesting. It literally just says a half-term day trip to London, first stop ... and then you've got the title British Museum. It's just to fill in that gap a little bit next to the thickers. And once I've done that, I'll go in and glue those down with my Nouveau Deluxe adhesive, because the sticky is absolutely rubbish on these now. I won't make you watch all this. I'll fade through. And there I am, just sticking the last M down. That's when I see that butterfly falling down, and I think actually that'll look really nice in the bottom right hand corner underneath those tags. So my usual foam pads on the wings and some wet glue on the body. And having a quick look and checking that I'm happy with how it looks. And I need to add the date, so I go back to my usual Eco Success tab punch. Just using a piece of the blue that I'd used on a previous layout. It's the 1 12 by 12 paper that I took from this collection. And adding that foam pad at the top, and then just glue so that I can slide it underneath that top strip. And then I'll go in with my date stamp on a scrap of white paper, and I use the Tattered Rose Distress Oxide because that matches really nicely with the pinks, and I don't want the date to be too stark against the other more subtle colours that we've got on there. Just checking that it's not too big to fit on that tab. I don't know why, because it's the same date stamp and tab that I use every time, but there you go. I think sometimes you look and think, is it too big? And finally, going in with some splatters with the Chipped Sapphire Distress Oxide, just wetting that down and using a paintbrush just to splatter all around. And that's it, job done. So thank you very much for joining me. I hope you'll check the description box to have a look at the playlist to see everybody else who's playing along with this hop, and I'll see you tomorrow for a new layout. Thanks very much. Bye.